Hi, guys. I'm Jillian, and welcome back to Car Talks.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and also mom, and this is episode 6.
So, what are we talking about today? Because today was all you, topic-wise.
Was it? I thought you picked this one.
No, you came up with this.
Okay, so it was Generation X. Well, it was generational differences.
Right.
That was really it. Like the things that your generation does versus things that my generation does.
And we want to be fun.
Yeah.
So,
well, I actually wanted to tell you like a scope of perspective. This was why. So,
you have a story?
No, it's not really a story, but it's just a point of reference. Like, so you and I have similar types of careers in that, like, technology wise. So we're using like this powerful softwares. We're using a lot of like creative editing and all kinds of stuff. And then we do, and it's all on computers, right? And we're doing that kind of work. So I was thinking about this because when you started college, you bought like this really nice MacBook. And I also, when I started college, got a MacBook or got a computer, and it was a Mac. It wasn't, they didn't have MacBooks, but it was a Macintosh. It was Apple, right? So I was going to tell you about my computer. God. So I don't have this computer anymore. So this computer,
if you did, it would be so cool.
I know. So it's called the 2CI was the brand. It was the latest and greatest, just like you did when you went to college. You got like the latest and greatest, the most expensive that you could afford, like jam-packed, most memory, the whole thing,
right?
And so this is what made me think of it, because I remember my dad, he helped pay for college. He helped me a lot, like, you know, just with all my expenses for college and stuff. And I got some scholarships or whatever. But so I really needed a computer because we were in the generation that design. So my degree was in graphic design. It was at university. And in the graphic design department, we were transitioning everything from like hand-drawn things to more computer-based things. Like, so imagine that when I'm approaching school, using a computer to do your college work is brand new. People like you're walking in and people
like writing an essay on a computer is like insane.
We were a little bit further than that, but not much. But like design style, like design, right?
Oh yeah, like being creative. Like a computer was not
we had
word
processors, is what a lot of people had, word processors. And our family had a computer. We had a PC, a personal computer, and with a printer. And so like we could type up an essay and print it. But it had like a word processor software inside that computer. But like my roommate at college, she had a word processor, which was basically a typewriter with a little screen on it that you could like type a sentence in and then like look at the sentence and make any corrections before you told it to print it. It was like,
oh, okay. But it was still paper. You still printed it.
Well, right. It would like, it had a little screen and you would like type your sentence and then say you were going to make any changes. Like you could arrow over, it had a keyboard, like it was a typewriter though. You could fix it. And then when you were done with that sentence, you could say like print. And so it would like type that one sentence and then you would do like the next one and the next one. It didn't like hold a whole paper. Like it was kind of
Right.
like sentence at a time is what I'm remembering. So anyway, but my computer. So I was going into graphic design and everyone was using Macintosh computers. And my lab at school, at college, it was like there was a big classroom with drawing boards and art boards and like places to work and desks and things. It was a decent sized classroom. And then right next to it, there was a smaller room that was our computer lab, and it fit probably like the first round of that computer lab. It maybe had like 7 computers in it or something. And they were the first Apple computers. They were just these basic, they were just like a square. They were like this big. And I don't remember, like, it was like an Apple's S, or I don't remember what the first one was.
Mm-hmm.
And so there wasn't a lot of like room, and it was always full, and I was commuting. So I was living like, I only went to school like 3 days a week all day. And then I lived in another town the other days. So it was like so my situation was that it was just kind of hard for me to get in the lab, and I wanted to do work at home, and it was just like a big thing. So I talked to Dad and I said, I really could use a new computer. So I bought this Macintosh. It was a 2CI. We went to like, I think Best Buy or whatever was there at that time. I don't remember if it was Best Buy. It was called Best Buy. So we go in there and we're shopping, and we bought this Mac computer. I think we paid around $4,000 for it. I really think it was around $4,000, and it had a color printer.
That's like what I paid for mine. So
let me take that back. It did not have a printer. It was just the computer and the screen, and then it had a floppy disk drive, like the square ones, right?
Yes, and I do know what that is.
And those held like 2.5 megabytes of information.
Yeah.
So
nothing.
And it's so funny because I was thinking about it, because I know when we were come here, I was clearing off my phone so I could store some stuff and store videos and things. So I ran through like text messages that I didn't, like you can on your iPhone, you can search for high data files or whatever. And I'm like flipping through these text messages, and I am just tossing away text messages that someone had sent me a picture of, like, that I could delete. And the pictures were like 2, 3, 5, 6 meg. And I'm just like chucking them away. And when I was in college, that disk, 2.5 megabytes
was all you had.
Was all we had. And so you would.
That's crazy.
I know.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And so, like, say I was going to do stuff at home. So I would be at home on my computer, and we had a software we used called Quark Express. And it was a design program, kind of like Adobe InDesign. It's where you did like layout and with text and stuff. That was the thing to use at that time. And when we had Adobe Photoshop, I had Adobe Photoshop as well. It was like the first version of Photoshop, and then Illustrator.
Right.
And so I would be home, and like say they gave us like some project or something, and I would do the layout in this Quark Express, and I would save the file on the floppy disk, and then I would take that disk with me, and I'd drive.
So a Photoshop file was small enough that you could save it on 2.5 megabytes?
Yeah. We didn't do stuff that had, high resolution, and like,
we
did, but we didn't have, like, it had to fit on that floppy disk. That's all I had. Like, it didn't, technology we didn't have USB drives.
Wow.
We didn't have, like, there was no internet.
Yeah.
So the internet existed, but it wasn't in our households, right? And we had a lab at school that you could email. We were just starting to email. And so I could and I never emailed at school because it was just too overwhelming for me. I didn't know what was going on. And it was like the email servers at the college, and it was just super weird. So I didn't do any of that. And
Wow.
so, and I was working at a
I
newspaper.
feel like I email someone twice a day at least. I feel like I'm constantly
Oh
on
my God,
email.
all day long. Right now, I'm all day long emailing. Right, we know that. But
yeah, for you, yeah.
So there was no email and no texting, no cell phones.
Yeah.
Think about that. I did not carry a cell phone with me. I would go.
But you had a computer.
I had my computer, do my thing, put it on the floppy disk. And we did have a printer at school. And we had places in town you could take the disc and you could go get it printed. So I would take this disc and I would go to a place that's called Kinko's is where we went. It's just a copy place. You could hand them the disc and they would print the files off for you. Or I would take this disc to school, put the disc in at school, open up the file, cause maybe like they gave me feedback or something. And then, or we did a group critique and then I would have to make modifications, or I was using the lab time. I had to work at school or show my professor like, okay, this is what I have going on. And they teach you and whatever. And,
which and that something that you told me too, that I think this is something you told me I thought was crazy. And I still talk about this at school now, is that you and your professors were learning Photoshop and Adobe stuff together. Because it was the first time it existed.
Totally together.
You couldn't, like now I can go ask my professor how to do something on these programs and they know how to do it.
They know it. Yeah.
But you didn't, like you and your professors were learning it together. Like if you had a question, that professor probably also has that question.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I mean, and they were crazy. Better than us, they had maybe like a year ahead of us, maybe, but
yeah.
Or they had been doing professional work, and so I remember this one teacher I had, and he was a really, really great teacher, but I remember being in the lab and we're all in the lab together and we're all trying to figure this out. And I remember him showing me like how to use the eraser tool, like super basic. Here's the eraser tool. Here was the clone tool, how to select.
That's crazy.
Here's the lasso. Here's the pen tool. I remember him showing me.
Crazy.
But and then we were.
And you probably were like amazed that that was even existing. Like everyone was like, "Wow!" And now I think about it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, just go do it." Like it's not that big of a deal.
Totally different.
Wow.
And so if you think about it,
crazy.
How different, totally different, our lives are.
Yeah.
Like technology's a huge influence.
Yeah.
On our lives and how different it is, right? And then I would so I remember my senior year, people were starting to email, and then I got.
That's crazy. I've been emailing since I was like 10.
Totally. See, think about my phone. I did not have I'm trying to think when I got my first phone, it would have been a flip phone. I don't really remember, but my dad probably got it for us because he worked for Ameritech, which was bought out by AT&T. So people have a reference, but so he had a lot of the latest technology of things because he dealt with that kind of stuff and he put phones in. He was like an original phone man when they put the wires in the walls,
Yeah.
And so, and then went through all those years of technology. So he would get things pretty quick. So I remember he had given us a bag phone. And so I had that traditional bag phone. It was like this big, right? And it had the phone itself. It was like the old James Bond or whatever. It was that big block. Yeah. And he's like, you only use that if it's an absolute emergency. Because it was like $50 to make a 30-second or 1-minute call or whatever it was, or 2-minute call. It was super expensive. And it would go to our phone bill if we used it. And so I kept it in my dash or in my car rather. And I think I only used it in my car one time. Like, I think once we tried it out, like, do we have this thing figured out? And it had the big coil wire. And then the other time was, I think I used it to call him. And it was because like my car broke down or something, I remember, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
And you charged it in the cigarette lighter. And so that's how I had it. That was my phone. And so that whole time, like doing college.
My God.
I didn't have.
That's crazy. Especially with our first episode. Our first episode, we were talking about how we feel about like responding to texts and things like that. And how I'm like, oh, like,
yeah,
respond. Like, you know, you don't have to respond immediately, but respond, you know? And you didn't even like, oh, that's crazy.
Well, it wasn't like, I mean, we know like the phones, we had the typical like phone on the wall and the big long cord and you walk.
Yeah, I know. I remember I remember that old red phone that was in their basement and it got left up. I remember we used to play with it as a kid because it got deactivated. Do you know what I'm talking about in Grandma and Grandpa's old house?
Yeah.
In their basement,
I'm just laughing because you just said deactivated.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What else do you say?
Know.
It's like you deactivate a phone number, right? Like the phone's not active anymore. You can't call it. It's just on the wall.
It's a fine word. It's just funny to me. I just wouldn't use that word.
What would you call it?
But we stopped the service on the phone, or we shut the phone off, I guess.
It was deactivated? Why is deactivated weird?
I don't know. It just sounded funny to me. Like,
okay.
Deactivate.
Well,
I don't know.
The phone in their basement was deactivated, and I remember playing with it as a kid. And I think it was still like on, but you couldn't call anything on it. So when you would pick it up, it would just do that.
Oh no, that was on. That was on.
But you couldn't call anyone on it.
That was the dial tone. It was on. It was like you pick it up and you hear the that tells you
red phone in their basement was on.
Yeah, that tells you that the phone was activated, not deactivated.
We used to play with that thing all the time.
You just had to dial the numbers. Like
we probably called a bunch of people. I think we were calling people on that phone.
Let me think about when my parents maybe stopped having a regular phone. Because they went to like cell phone. My dad was cool with technology, so he would go they went to cell phones. 100% cell phones right away.
We used to play with that phone.
Let me think.
We used to play with that phone in that basement.
Did it made a dial tone? That's what that's called.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
The dial tone is so it was activated. I'd have to ask my mom like when they went to so that was the landline. Yeah. So when they went
I know that the phone was always it's always been there, but I guess it's just depending on when they turned it off.
That's funny. You have such a good memory. You remember everything. It probably, if you're remembering the dial tone, that's probably it. So that.
Yeah. Do you know what phone I'm talking about?
I can't think of a red one. Was it?
Okay. In their basement at the house that they lived in my whole life until they moved up north. In their basement, at the end of the hallway, there was those patio doors. Uh-huh. And if you were facing those doors, it was on the right side of the wall.
Oh, yes. I remember now.
And it was that bright red phone. And it was just like in the middle of the wall in a really dumb spot.
Yes.
And you could just pick it up.
I remember now. Yeah.
And then like to the left was that little seat area with the tile.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Yeah, by the patio doors. Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy. You grew up in that house and you couldn't remember that phone, but I could.
Well,
or was it
I did grow up in the house, but like my room was upstairs and our basement wasn't finished when I lived there. And then that was kind of like came after me a little bit. Like it was kind of partially.
Well,
it was finished
there was a
later
phone down there.
and whatever. But yeah, I didn't like really like probably call people down there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are out walking.
Anyway,
it's super cool.
I know it's really busy by me too. Anyway, well, so it's really funny that I didn't know that was called the dial tone.
The dial tone.
I think it did.
Basically, it's like, yep, the phone it's good. Working. It's working. It's in service. It's activated. You can dial out and make their call. But
where's your mic?
It's right down here.
Okay. Make sure it's pointed up at you, because otherwise I get weird audio.
It's right in between my legs. It's like right here, right now.
Nice.
So yeah, that was. So I just think about. I know it's been a long time, and like, it's funny. I just started referring to myself like I'm old. I tell my students, I'm an old lady, like, because I don't really feel like super old, but I'm distinctly old.
You're old.
Yeah, I'm distinctly older than them, right? I'm older than their parents, and so I'll make references to that. But I was thinking specifically about like you going to college and your experiences of what is just normal was not normal.
Oh, well, and if we're going to talk technology wise, I have the fact that a Photoshop file was 2.5 megabytes. My files that I work with are like multiple gigabytes big.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least 5 gigabytes big, and you only had 2 megabytes
on a floppy disk. So then later on, though, because technology changed so fast, like it was just, and it still does, it's just like rolls so fast.
Yeah.
So by the time I was a senior, we used Premiere, which is really weird to think that, because this would have been in 1996, but Adobe Creative Suite had Premiere then. And so we used Premiere, and we had to make a little movie, right. I don't remember what it was about, but we had to make this movie on it and record sound effects and put them in there and different things. And I remember them having a VHS player, like the big VHS movie player. They had that in our lab, and they were putting video cassette, tapes in. So they were like, maybe like, say they wanted to take footage. So they would take a camera out. They're going to record something out.
That's crazy.
And they would record it on the VHS, and then they would put the VHS in, and then that would somehow that file, because that was tape, it wasn't digital.
Yeah.
But somehow that file, they managed to like connect it to the computer, and they got it into the computer. But like that whole thing was so beyond me. I could not grasp that at all. And I wasn't doing that. How did I record? I'm trying to remember.
That is crazy.
I think
the steps that you guys had to take.
When I did my first Premiere thing, I don't think it had even any video in it. I think it was all just still images, like scans. I scanned things in. Can you imagine like that?
Picture.
A flatbed scanner. I
know what those are.
So I took my flatbed scanner and I probably scanned something in, and then that went into, on the hard drive of the computer, because that's where the scans went, or whatever. And then I could bring those into Premiere. And I think I just did, like picture, and there were transitions, and then it was in its most basic form, and I had audio.
Yeah.
Because mine was something about like a cafe, and so I had like the door ringing, like of a door opening, and the bell or whatever. I remember recording the bell.
That's crazy. Oh, I wish you still had all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I wish you still saved all that.
I know. Dad and I got rid of the computer. Like, he kept getting mad. Like, why do you have that thing around? Why do you have that thing around? It's just paperweight. No. And so we got rid of
it. I would have loved that. I bet it would still work too.
I don't know if it would have, but it doesn't matter. It's done now. It's gone. But, you know, like, it's just, your life is just so different.
Yeah. Especially with that kind of stuff. Like, I've had a computer in school my whole life. We had computer labs in elementary school. Every day you'd go into the computer lab and they would make us do typing classes, like every day for like an hour, or maybe it was once a week for an hour, something like that. We would go into the computer lab and there was like a typing thing that you would do and you'd have to learn how to type and like on the keyboard. And I did that in elementary school. And then by the time I made it to middle school, we were already given our own, or like,
you were one to
by
one.
the time I made it,
everyone Chromebooks, right?
Not yet. When I was in middle school, they just had carts. They had like carts of Chromebooks and laptops that like once a week, each teacher would take turns having it. Like this day it was in Miss So-and-so's classroom. This day it was in Miss So-and-so's classroom. So like, it would be like, I don't know, like I would use a computer every day, but I would only use it in like one of my classes every day. And then by the time I got to high school, it was 9th grade. That was when they gave us all our own Chromebooks. 9th grade was the first year that they gave everyone their own. Yeah. And even then, some classrooms still had like the Chromebook cart. But a lot of them like ended up getting given to students because that was the year they like tried it out and then they like got it for the middle schoolers. And so I think the ones in our carts got sent to middle school or whatever it was. But so yeah, so in middle school we just had carts and every once in a while we would get them. But that was when we first started doing like full essays and full work. But like we always took all of our tests on the computer. Yeah. And on test day, you would get the computer out and they'd walk you through, okay, go here, and you would walk through and we took all of our tests and like standardized tests, like state testing on the computer. Yeah. And then by high school, everything was on the computer.
One to one. And now it's like throwaway. The ones they use at school are just throwaway. They're just so they're basically
cheap. The Chromebooks.
Yeah. They're just
Chromebooks are like $100. They're plastic.
All you're doing is accessing the internet.
Yeah.
So that you can do all your work online.
Like,
you're not really saving much to the Chromebook. Yeah.
Yeah. And at your school specifically, it was Google. So it was all Google Drive, Google Word. So it wasn't enough. Yeah. And everything was in this cloud storage. It wasn't on the computer
and I use
itself,
365 and it's the same though, like 365.
Right.
Like
which we use that here at my school. Yeah. I love it so much better.
My students are still just like throwing everything up in the, on their OneDrive or whatever, but it's just so weird.
Yeah. And now I have, let's count. Wait, I have my computer pulled up. Let's count how many programs, heavy duty like programs I have on my computer. So I have Adobe Lightroom is one. I have two different versions of I have 4 different versions of Adobe Media Encoder. So there's 5. I have Adobe Illustrator 2025 already and Adobe Photoshop 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 7. I have Premiere 24. That's 8. I have After Effects 25. That's 9. I have QLab, which is something that we use for theater production. That's 10. I don't know, do we consider Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint?
The full versions? Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so I have Word and PowerPoint.
Yep.
That's 12. Like,
oh yeah, my computer only ran one, and you can only run one program at a time.
And you know what? Oh, and I have Photoshop. I don't know if I mentioned Photoshop. So I can have Illustrator, Photoshop, Premiere, and Media Encoder all open and flip between the two as much as I want with no issues.
Right. We could only have one program open at a time. So then you would run in it, do your work, close it, open the other one, close it. Yep.
Yeah. And on top of that, like, let's say I have all 4 of those open. I can have Safari with like 10 different tabs open, doing research and doing stuff. I can have Spotify playing in the background. That can be open the entire time. I can have a Word document open to take notes. That can still be open the entire time. Like, I can do so much at once.
So, you know how, like, you just had registration for your classes, you had your scheduled time?
Yeah.
Because your time was scheduled due to, like, your grade, your academic, like, are you were a junior, senior, or whatever, what classes?
Yeah, it was credits, based on credits.
Right. So we had similar thing, but we had, when we were registering, we had to go to this, we had a time slot or whatever. We had to go to this building, and you walked into this big room, and there were like kiosks of like where you could stand, and it's basically just a table, like a big round table, that like standing table, and the catalogs were on there. And you would fill out what classes you needed, and then you would go take it to the person at registration in like the window, like a bank, and you would give them what classes you wanted, and they would quickly they would punch them all in and make sure like that you could get them.
They were available.
It was something like that, or maybe it was even like a Scantron. I don't really remember. I don't think it was a Scantron because there were too many classes. So it must have been we filled it out, and then they would go and register it and tell you if it was full or not. And then if it was full, you had to go back. You could get, same thing, you get waitlisted, but you go back and you'd pick a different one, and then you'd have to go fill it out. None of it was done. Like, you guys just jump on the computer and you're just like, do.
Yeah, it takes me 10 minutes. Yeah.
Nothing like that. No, you had to like block a day. It's like registration day. You're like, oh, waiting in line and stuff. Yeah, it's super weird.
That is really crazy. That is really crazy. Yeah, I think a lot. And it's funny because something that I think when it comes to like technology, and if we're going to talk generational difference, something that I think is crazy is your generation watched and experienced all of it being invented and evolving and everything coming to fruition, and yet somehow my generation knows how to use it better.
Do you?
Yes, we do.
Better.
Okay, so we cannot use you as an example of this because of your career path.
Are you more ethical?
Okay. That is not what I'm talking about. You are a rare breed. If I walk into, I don't even know. Okay, Dad is a great example of this. My father cannot send an email to save his life. Okay? By that I mean, he can send an email.
He'd probably figure it out.
But he can't. He can't do it. He calls me all the time.
Could you imagine? And when he tries to attach something to the email, that's like
when he tries. It's the end of the world. He doesn't know what the heck to clip. I say, Dad, press the paper clip. He goes, I don't see a paper clip. What do you mean a paper clip? I said, the paper clip.
He goes, I don't belong in this generation. I don't belong here. He gets so mad. How do you know? This is our argument all the time. How do you know to hit the 3 dots? Like
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Like your phone up and you're doing shit, and there's like the 3 dots.
Always in the 3 dots.
Or the back.
The 3 dots means more.
The 3 dots means there's something else there. I'm like, we'll click here. How do you know to click that? I'm like, I don't know. It's just what you do. It's just
like literally, and you know what? He's right though, because it's like, how do you know to click it? It's just because we've been trained.
Yeah.
But when he asks me to explain to him why we click it, I cannot explain to him. I'm like, you just do. I'm like, Dad, there's just more there. I'm like, you just click it. There's just more. You always double check
arrow,
it.
Like, say you have something open, you've got the little arrow. You're clicking it to go back
a
window or whatever. Like that blows him away.
He's just
blows him away.
But then he gets confused because he's like, it's always like 3 dots. Sometimes it's the waffle with the 6 or whatever. And then sometimes it's like 3 lines.
If you told him the waffle, he would be like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
He'd have a hard time. Yeah, if he said the waffle. Yeah.
He doesn't know what the waffle is. No.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
No.
He is a great example of someone who has no idea. It takes him so long to type a text message.
Oh, yeah.
He types with one finger still.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, the keyboard hasn't changed. How are you not typing faster?
And then
it's all in the same spot.
So then too, like, I'll just voice text, right? Or I'm driving and I really quick texted you before we got on here, and I'm driving.
Yeah, you sent it with Siri.
Yeah, totally. Hey Siri, and then I told him my Siri's a guy, so told him.
Yeah.
And then he gets so mad. Dad gets, why don't you just pick up the phone and call? Well, I was driving, so I'm not like, I'm not doing that driving.
And you don't have to.
Something we're all super strict about, right? But even if I was at home, Sam's at home, I do voice text all the time and just like hit it, and then I'm like, I tell it whatever. Why don't you just call? That wasn't the phone call worthy.
No, it was just I just needed to let you know.
A little quick thing.
Yeah, it was just quick. I just needed to let you know, and you didn't have to respond. Yeah. Okay, so I Googled, let's shift into our flash on segment because it's pitch black outside. Thank you, daylight savings. I Googled, so I got my computer down here. That's why I'm looking down. So I Googled funny things that compare Gen X and Gen Z.
Okay.
The first one that comes up, which is kind of ironic because we just spent
I'm a Gen Xer.
And I'm Gen Z.
And you're a Gen Zer.
Right. The fact that you even say Gen Xer is funny.
So I graduated high school.
I'm a Gen Xer. I'm Gen X. There's no You're just Gen X.
I graduated high school in 1991.
Yeah.
And I graduated college in 1996.
Right.
So that's the context.
And I graduated high school in 2022.
Right.
And I'm in college. So this is ironic that we just spent that whole time talking about phones and technology stuff, because the first thing it says is, and this is just like what pops up on Google. Like the first thing, like I'm not in an article.
AI search? Okay.
Yeah, it's that AI thing, that new AI thing. It says
that newfangled thing.
A funny comparison between Gen X and Gen Z could be that, oh my God, listen to this. This one says, could be that Gen Xers think being on the phone means actually holding a phone to your ear, while Gen Zers think it means texting endlessly on their smartphone, highlighting how technology usage has drastically changed between the generations, with Gen X often seen as less tech-savvy compared to Gen Z.
Right. If I said I'm on the phone, or if I'm going to say I'm going to be on the phone right now, that means I'm talking to someone on the phone.
Yes. I think of it that way too. And I think that's just because I'm weird about it. Like, but I also don't use like Snapchat, or like if I'm talking to someone, I am either texting or calling them. Like I don't use social media to like talk to people. Like I have social media like if I'm being honest, which is crazy that I'm saying this because we're making this podcast and putting it on social media. If I'm being honest,
are you gonna be old?
What do you mean?
Are you gonna be like an old lady right now? What are you gonna say?
Yes.
Social media is dumb.
Yes. If I'm being honest, I would not have any social media and I would just have phone numbers and phone calls. But I know that I need to like network and make connections. And it's hypocritical of me to even say that because we're sitting here making a podcast that we're going to go on and post on social media.
100%. I know. But I'm the same.
I still feel like I want to be able to do this and I enjoy posting it, but I just want to post it and leave it. Like I don't want to have to do any of that extra crap. Like, I'm like, I just want to make the video and post it. Like, I like
also because it's fun for the few people who are watching or whatever.
Like, I like YouTube because I feel like it's a kind of platform where you can really do like anything. Like, you know, people are influencers now or whatever, but like I post my work on YouTube. I think you can post art on YouTube. Like,
YouTube's super informative.
Yeah, and so like I really like YouTube, but I hate like, and I've gotten a lot better at it, and I've kind of forced myself to start doing it, especially like TikTok. And I find myself kind of enjoying some of it. Like, I kind of find myself enjoying the fun stuff, mainly just because the people that I'm around enjoy it. And like, so I post stuff because I'm like, oh, I know this person will like whatever, like it. And like for Halloween, whatever, we all dressed up. So I posted our Halloween costumes, like, so like fun stuff like that. But I like could never be on it so constantly. Like, people, when I'm on my phone, I'm usually like reading something. If I'm on Instagram, I'm like reading people's Instagram posts. Like, I follow people that are posting things that I want to be informed about. And so I'm like looking at their stuff. Like, and you know, I do get on TikTok. Like, I'm not going to deny, like, I do watch TikTok and I do fall down that rabbit hole when my brain needs like a shutdown moment. But most of the day, like, if I want to talk to a person, like if I want to have a conversation, I would rather call somebody. Like, I would so much rather call somebody than text. Like, I don't even really like having a conversation over text because it's hard to gauge.
So then there's the whole Facebook thing, right? So Facebook was the first, I believe. So Facebook, really the first big one.
MySpace.
Right. But I mean, like, yeah. But like the first kind of one that like really went nuts, right?
Yeah, and I know what you mean. And if we're going to talk generationally, it was the first one that was something that everybody used. Like, MySpace was like a high school thing that, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so Facebook stuck, right? And so everyone's like loving it, whatever. I swear, as soon as like aunties and grandmas got on it, the kids were gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Immediately. They were like, oh, our secret's out. They can see what we have going on. They left. And so they have it, but don't use it. Like,
yes.
And so
that's me, but everyone use yours ever? I don't use it, but do you know what? This is what people... So my family is like that. My dad's side of the family is like that. And they want me to post and want me to keep them updated. And they want me to use Facebook to keep them updated. And so do you know what I did?
Instagram go. Well, you don't want your Instagram to go because...
But I can pick and choose. Nope, I can pick and choose. So on my Instagram, I have it set so that everything that I post on Instagram posts to Facebook. And the things that I don't want to post to Facebook, I just turn it off before I click post on Instagram.
Before you send it.
And so like,
Facebook.
So they all think that I'm just so active on Facebook because everything that I post on Instagram goes onto Facebook.
It goes automatically.
It goes automatically just because they bitched at me so much that I was like, okay, fine, I'll just post on Facebook. Like, I don't want to. Everyone was like, how come you don't post? How come you don't post? I was like, oh my God, I don't want to post on Facebook. Like, I don't care about Facebook at all.
I think.
And now I'm like,
become
okay,
like,
whatever.
Facebook's functional to me.
Yes, it is.
Like, yeah, it has that whole other like side of it too. But for my use of it, like, I want to see if it, like, what's the special at the restaurant I like to go to, or what hours they're open.
Yeah, it is.
I want to see if the local theater. Yeah, I just want to see if the local theater, like, what their play is that's coming up.
Yeah.
Or I just, it's like an informational thing for me.
Yeah.
Especially for local stuff.
Definitely. So the next thing on the list, because I think it'd be funny to go through this list and just like do little brief, whatever.
Okay,
because our last episode was 2 hours long because it was the ghost episode. And so I don't want to make, you know, obviously you don't have to watch a whole podcast in one sitting, but like the next thing on the list is cool slang. It says Gen Xers might think rad is the coolest thing they can say, while Gen Z, which the Gen Z example I wouldn't even consider accurate.
No, I've never used the word rad.
Would consider it outdated and find lit or gas much cooler. Which
do you say lit?
My generation did in we did in middle school.
No, but what about now? Like right now?
Now,
well, that's lit.
People say like slay. They say slay, or they say work, but it's WERK instead of WORK. Yeah, it's like
what does that
I think
mean?
it's cool. It's like work, like yes, work. It's from Drag Race, I think.
It's not like, oh, go get to work.
No, because it's spelled differently. No, it's spelled with an E, not an O.
I know, but like I'm so literal. But so
I don't know what else do we say?
I have two slang. So I have another slang for you. So when I have a slang for now, and then a slang for what we did when I was in high school. We used to say not, that context. Like, okay,
I have no idea.
Let me use it. Let me use an example of it.
See, like you get what I'm saying more because you're a high school teacher.
Okay, so let me give you an example of this. So say you're in class and a friend walks in and they have an ugly sweater on. And
oh wait, I think I know what you mean. Can I guess?
You're throwing like the
can I guess?
Can I guess? Sarcasm.
Wait, can I guess? It'd be like, because I think we do this too. It'd be like, okay, I don't know. Okay, this is gonna be my example.
Just do it.
Like, okay, so let's say someone has on like a Drake shirt, but we canceled Drake. It'd be like, not a Drake t-shirt.
No.
Oh, that's what we do. Oh, no. Wait, you guys said, oh, that's not what I mean. Okay.
No. So I'll use your example. So they walk in with a Drake t-shirt. You'll go, oh my gosh, I really love that Drake shirt. Not.
That's real? You guys actually did that? I thought that was in the movies. I thought that was only in the movies. You guys actually said that?
Our teacher, I remember my English teacher saying it. He was younger. I remember him saying it, and he'd say it in class. He would say like, I
love your red glasses.
It's just like, to throw the sarcasm.
What?
Yeah, you say something and then that you don't really mean, and then you end it with not.
That's hilarious. And I'm in shock.
Really good. Not.
Because I really thought that was something that only happened in movies. I didn't know you guys actually said that.
All the time.
What did you say for like a cool song? Like we say like, oh, this is a banger. Like, what did you say if a song was really good? Or did you not have one?
The song was really good. I don't know. Like we'd probably say something like, back then we would have said like, this is a good jam, or this song rocks, or
oh my gosh, wait, I have another one. Okay, I have another one.
So I have one that the kids are doing right now.
Okay, wait, yeah, you tell me that one, and I'm curious if it's the same that I just thought of. Because I'm not in high school anymore, so your high schoolers are saying some weird stuff that I don't even know.
Weird. So not all of them. Most of them don't. Most of them are just like, or they just don't do it around me because they know I'm not going to understand what they're saying.
Yeah. So
when they're talking like in class and, in the educational side of things, they've been pretty normal. But this year I have this group of girls that are in 10th grade that hang out in my room, and they're really funny, and they low-key, high-key all the time. Oh my gosh, it's low-key. That's low-key this. That's low-key that. And I tease them all the time. Yeah. And because I don't really, I make them, and I just admit my ignorance in it. And I'll just look at them. Okay, so is that low-key meaning like it's good? Or is that bad? And they'll explain it to me. And I don't really get that one either. They still would have to explain it to me right now if they said it.
Yeah, I don't really get that one.
If they see this, they laugh so hard. So every time I hear them, in my mind, I hear Loki from like the Avengers or whatever. Is it the Avengers?
Oh, yeah, Loki, like the character, not low-key.
I hear Loki, the character. That's what I'm hearing, but I know that's not what they're saying. And so my mind's thinking of Loki and the like with Thor and his face, then so my mind that goes to my mind, but I know that's not what they're saying, but they're saying like, oh my gosh, that's so low-key, blah blah blah, and they'll say it. and they'll say high key, and they'll say, oh, that's high key, whatever. But I don't know if they're like really saying that or if they're being silly. I don't know, but I'll hear that group of girls talk slang constantly. Yeah. Everything that comes out of their mouth but it's just them talking to each other, and it's slang. It's so funny. Super funny to me.
So I have another one that I thought of a minute before you said all that. Like, this is the one that I thought of. I'm curious if your kids say that. We say pop off. Do you ever hear that?
Never. What does it mean?
Okay.
Like leave? Goodbye?
Because no. So because I think there is a big difference between high schoolers, like current, like we're the same generation, but current high schoolers and current college kids, huge difference between the two. Like because I think COVID separated that. Like, because we were in high school.
So let me guess. COVID. So let me guess. You say what? Pop off?
Yeah, like we'd say pop off, or like pop off sis, or pop off queen.
It's not goodbye?
No.
Is it like you go girl? Like a a cheering on thing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to say
it. If you came out with a cute outfit on, it would be like, pop off, girl.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I hear it a lot when people are like dancing. You'd be like, hey, pop off, hey, like that.
Like show off or go.
Yeah, kind of.
Good vibe or whatever.
Off. Do you
guys say vibe? I say vibe all the time.
Yeah, we say vibe. I think vibe is a word that's been around forever because you like catch the vibes and the energy and whatever.
Yeah, what's the vibe you're looking for? I've been saying that a lot lately, and I probably got it from my kids. I don't know.
Probably. It's a good word. I don't think vibe is like really a slang word anymore. I think it's really just integrated into
so pop up. Yeah, no, I wouldn't use that.
Okay. So here's another one.
Give me one, see if I can guess it in context.
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, now I gotta think of something. I kind of gave them all to you. I don't know. I'm not that great at it. I don't know that many. My roommate Kaylee knows a lot more than I do.
Let me think of what we did.
Oh,
some of it was...
Wait, I have one. Okay. I'm going to give it to you. I can't confirm the meaning because nobody really knows the meaning. It's just a feeling. Okay? It's when you say wig.
Wig?
Yeah.
Like a hair wig?
Yeah, and you just go wig.
Wig. You don't know what it... But am I supposed to use it
I
in
know
a
what
context?
It comes from. No, it's just
Should I use it in a sentence? Oh, okay.
I know, I can tell you where it comes from. It comes from a very a very specific pop culture moment.
Wig.
And everyone started saying it because it's like,
say it how you would say it.
Like you'd say like, it would just be on its own. Like you wouldn't have any context.
Say it and say it in the way you would.
Okay, you would just be like, wig.
Like, I agree with you?
It is whatever you want it to be. But you have to say, wig. Yes, okay, wig, yes. I feel similar.
The way you're saying it makes me think like, do you agree with someone?
Okay, so I feel stupid because
I don't be really... anything like, oh, it could be...
Okay, so let me tell you the exact moment in history that it comes from. So it comes from, do you remember when Katy Perry was a judge on American Idol for like a couple years?
Yeah, I remember her being on it. Yeah.
One of her competitors, one of the people who were auditioning, it was like during the very first round of auditions, you walk in with no music and you just like stand there and sing. And they all judge you like crazy. So this guy walks in and he was like getting ready and he was like calming himself down and he went, wig, okay. Like I'm ready. Like he went, wig, okay. Like that. And that's
where it comes from?
No, and it keeps going. And she looked at him and she went, wig, I know. And he goes, wig. And she goes, yeah, I'm right here with you, wig. And the other two guys, like the two other guy judges were like, what are you, like the one was like a country singer.
You guys are weird.
He's like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, what the heck? And she goes, this language is not for you. This language is for us. And she goes, wig like that. And it's so funny. And it's just like, and that's what I mean by like, it means nothing. It does not mean anything. It's just something that happened that we all started saying because we were like, oh my God, that's really funny. So you just say like,
do you think that's just you guys that say it, or is it all over?
It's all over. I mean, but it's only people that know that. Like I think when we say it, we're referencing that moment. Like we're referencing that specifically. And so like whenever someone says it to me, like I know that that's what they're referencing. And so I know it doesn't.
And you can be in like this little secret language vibe.
Yeah,
with them.
Like wig.
Okay.
Like wig. Yes, wig.
Yeah.
I think it has kind of become another version of like slay. You hear people say slay, right? Yeah. But they go like slay.
Well, slay it. Doesn't that mean like you killed it? You like.
Yeah, it's like the same thing as pop off.
Yeah, like you're just
like it's just
like you're jamming.
Yeah, like it's like yes.
Jamming is what
it's like.
Say,
it's like being like yes, girl.
We would have said jamming. Yeah,
you would have said jamming.
That's you're crazy. Jamming.
Okay, maybe. So speaking of the pop culture reference, this other one I thought was kind of funny because I would still reference this movie, but Google doesn't think I would because I'm Gen Z. It says a Gen Xer might use a Clueless, like the movie Clueless.
Yes.
Sorry, someone was walking in front of my car. I was like, oh. And everyone can see me because my light's on and it's dark.
I know, me too. Mm-hmm.
So it says Gen Xer might use a Clueless quote in conversation, whereas a Gen Zer would reference a meme from a popular online game, which I get where they're coming from. I get what they mean, but I think Clueless is not old enough of a movie. You know what I mean?
I would have done Legally Blonde before Clueless, probably.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, because my generation knows Legally Blonde really well. Like, I'm thinking, like, all the way back to Gone with the Wind.
Oh, like, come on now.
Like,
come on now.
They would reference Gone with the Wind.
Ours was, like, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club.
Which, you know what? I think
Dirty Dancing, we would say Don't Put Baby in the Corner.
Yes, so for me...
Would you say that? You never put Baby in the Corner.
But do you know why? Because you showed all of that to me. And I think a lot of kids my age didn't, that stuff wasn't, like, their parents didn't show them anything. Like, they just, like, moved on. But you made sure to show me all those old movies, like Back to the Future, because my birthday is National Back to the Future Day.
I think people.
So, but, like people my age, like, they know the films, but they never, like, watched them. Like, you and I watched those. Like, we watched 16 Candles. We watched Back to the Future.
I think a lot of people watched them all, but I you
made me more aware of them. You made sure I knew.
Maybe.
Because the first time I watched 16 Candles, I dreaded it because I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this stupid old movie that my mom liked. But you were like, I'm making you watch it. Come sit on the couch. You're coming to watch it. And you made me sit down and watch it.
Yes.
And I was so happy afterwards because, like, it's an amazing
There's so many one-liners from it. Like, those would have been all the ones. Yeah.
The one where the grandma's like, what is she saying? She's grabbing her boobs.
No.
Mom has a story that relates to that. Now you have to tell it.
No, I'm not telling it.
Can I tell it?
I can't. No, because my students watch this.
Okay. Well, do you know the scene in 16 Candles where the grandma's like impressed that the daughter or that the granddaughter has boobs? That I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah. That wasn't a far-fetched activity.
Marty. Yep. He's so sweet.
Buddy. Okay, go next.
All right. Okay. I think.
What about
Okay, wait, this one is kind of weird. Like, I think it's kind of, I get what the AI is trying to say, but it's kind of dumb. It says a Gen Xer might complain about the difficulty of paying bills with a checkbook, while a Gen Zer might struggle with figuring out how to use a physical calendar. We're not that stupid, okay? I know how to use a calendar.
That's silly. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
because, like, okay, guess what? I look at a physical calendar on my phone every day. Like, it's still laid out the same way. Like, sorry, I'm not flipping a big ass piece of paper.
Right. It's
like, I
there.
know how to read a calendar. Okay. Ask me to balance a checkbook. I cannot do that for you because I do not have a checkbook and I don't need to.
Yes, you do. If you have a debit card, you have a checkbook.
But I've never had a physical checkbook that I've written my own checks under my name in.
It's funny. You know, I teach financial planning. Yeah. And we don't even deal with writing checks anymore.
And you know what? Like, you have made me write a check before. So I know how. And I have had to write checks before. But, like, they were never my own. Like, it was always like you had me fill it all out and then you just signed it because it was for
funny
dance.
Because I need to have my students write one check just so they know. But because they do still exist and you still get them and once in a great while. Like, what if they
like grandma will give you one in a card or whatever.
Yeah.
And you never know. You know what else?
I think it's going away. I don't.
Oh, it definitely is. But you know what, though? I think it's still good to know because what if one day your quick transfer banking from your job fails and they have to give you physical checks? You know, like, and what if you're the person? What if you're the person that has to write them?
To write them, maybe. I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Print them. Yeah, they'll print the checks.
Anyway, still, I think that's kind of funny. Okay, so this is the last one that I'm going to do, and then I think we can give, which this is a great transition, into our songs.
Okay.
Because it's already been like an hour, which is crazy.
Okay.
What do you think? Yeah, I think this will be a good transition. So this other one is music taste. It says, Gen Xers might proudly boast about their grunge or alternative music knowledge, while Gen Zers would be more likely to discuss the latest TikTok viral song, which is very true. But I
think that's true.
It's very true, but I am a horrible example of that because I'm over here listening to Rusted Root on the weekends. Like,
I love Rusted Root, but
I know, and you're the one that showed me Rusted Root.
Yeah, I saw them in concert.
Yeah, like you were like, you need to listen to them.
I do agree with that.
But yeah, it is very true.
Well, this is the thing. We didn't have any social media, and we listened to. When I was
in class, I learned all of the history of the evolution of the music industry.
Well, of course you did. In high school, I must have listened to cassette tapes still.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't remember when we had CDs because my dad had a 5 CD disc changer that played music.
Yeah, and you could have like fancy. 5 in there at a time or whatever.
5 in there at once and it would flip through them and it would shuffle them too.
Our DVD player at home is like that, but I'm pretty sure like 3 of the slots have a DVD stuck in there.
Probably. But this one was music. So yeah, we had CDs. Or you had your Walkman, your Discman, and it was like this big, and you put the disc in it. And you know what your dad said? He said when I was younger and he must have had like his little Discman or whatever. He said, I used to tell myself pretty soon they're just going to have like a chip and all the music is just going to be on it. And then right after, not too long after, they had
MP3 players.
Well, yeah, I was going to say iPods, but
no, it was an MP3 player first.
Yep.
It was an MP3 player that was invented in Japan. Sorry, I just learned all of this in class in a history.
Yeah, so we had MP3 players. Those came out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then it went to
the
iPod because iPod came out when Apple created iTunes as a way to purchase because
they just...
did you ever use Napster?
I heard of it. I never used it.
I know exactly what it is. Yeah, because you were like out of college by the time.
I think you had to pay for it or something, so I didn't do that.
No, it was free. We learned about it in class. So Napster was a MP3 after the MP3 came out and the CD-ROM existed and you could like put MP3s from a CD onto your computer. So like, you know, you could whatever. And then there was the CD burners.
You put the disc in, then you could see the drive and
you could get your MP3 onto your computer drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Napster was invented by college kids in 2000, and it was a way for if you were on the platform, you could connect your drive of MP3s to another person's drive of MP3s and get stuff off of their drive onto your computer. So like, let's say I had the latest AC/DC album on my computer and this person had the latest, like,
right, you could swap.
I don't know, yeah, like Michael Jackson, but I only wanted like 2 of the Michael Jackson songs. Instead of going and getting the CD, I would just go get the 1 or 2 songs that I wanted and then burn them onto my own CD that I could then play in the car and like make playlists or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's when iTunes came out and then made the iPod, and then that's where Apple like went off on phones and music and whatever. And so, but yeah, like I think that's really that little AI result that you just read. It's accurate
that's really
to some
true.
sense.
It's really true because, like, of course, I can tell you all the grunge stuff, and I just love music so much. My students will surprise me because they'll all of a sudden, because I don't get on TikTok, and even if I was, I wouldn't be on the same stuff they are on. They're looking at all kinds of different things, and they'll know a song, and I'll be like,
"How do you guys know that?
How do you know that?" And it will be on some sort of silly TikTok trend. Yep.
Yeah, it's not like around. They don't know it because of the artist. They know it because of like this dance that goes with it, or this thing that you do to, whatever.
Yep.
Which is so funny.
And ever since I started teaching, like, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, they all love Don't Stop Believing, or whatever, and it's just silly. Like,
yeah, I think it's crazy too because like you and Dad made sure that, or at least maybe you didn't make sure, but I don't think you even knew it, but when you guys were listening to music, I was listening. Like Dad would listen to his rock stuff in the truck, and it wasn't that he wanted me to know it, but I was just in the car listening to it.
Yeah.
And you and him listen. Yeah, we're all very musically inclined.
Yeah.
And
George plays so many instruments.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
instantly teaches himself how to play them. And then you
guys, like, you always had your CDs. Like we used CDs for a long time when I was a kid, like before, like when even like in the car, like we always used CDs for a long time up until like an aux cord existed. And like, which aux cords existed even before we stopped using CDs. But like, I don't know, we always use CDs in our cars and in Dad's truck. Like we always had the CDs.
It's just a transition of technology because then pretty soon,
and I think you guys like held on to it Pandora longer.
Maybe.
You guys held on. From my perspective, you guys held on to it a lot longer than a lot of people. Because I remember I didn't even know what Spotify was until 8th grade. I didn't even know that Spotify existed. And I barely knew about Pandora. I remember being in 6th grade on the school bus and still using my own MP3 player to listen to music. And I had like the Pitch Perfect soundtrack on there. And everyone was like, just listen to Spotify. And I was like, what is Spotify? Because I was still in 8th grade using my MP3 player to listen to music.
Yeah.
And at that time, like we were still
Pandora.
But we used it at like home. But in the car.
At work we used Pandora because we had streaming internet. We had internet all the time.
Right. Yeah, and at home we didn't have internet.
We didn't have it as quickly and as good.
Right. And then, so we had CDs. That's so true.
Yeah,
and we didn't have like unlimited data or anything either.
I did at the other house. We did. Yeah. So that would have been until you were in like 3rd grade. I would like go online and stream the radio stations from like Detroit area or whatever.
Yeah.
But
in the car, it was always CDs. It was either the radio or CDs. It was always that in the car. And I remember, because I remember like, there's a lot of like, because of the CDs that you have, and you guys still have that big box of CDs that I'm going through when I get home, and I'm stealing them, is the Franz Ferdinand CD.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like I always saw it and you always had it in your car, but we never really listened to it. I was always like, what's Franz Ferdinand? And I think only like a year ago, I finally was like, Mom, we gotta listen. What is this Franz Ferdinand? Like I always see it. I gotta listen to it. And now I like listen to a lot of their stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like I listen and I have like playlists with a lot of it on there. And same with like Dad, like his Shinedown CD.
Mm-hmm.
That Shinedown CD, I can remember listening to it and singing it in his truck. And just the other day, me and my roommate, we were like going through old songs, like dad songs or whatever. Like we were like, what did your dad listen to? And I pulled up a Shinedown song and she had no idea what it was. And I was like, you don't know Shinedown?
How did you not know that?
None of my roommates had ever heard of Shinedown. And I was like, what? You don't know who Shinedown is? Like, I was so shocked by it. But I think
a lot of listen to rock.
No, well, and a lot of parents like, and like, you know, my cousin Addie, her parents just listen to whatever's new, like whatever's on the radio. And you guys didn't do that. Like we did, we listened to the radio, but we always like we listened to stuff that you guys grew up with, and then like, you know, Michael Jackson and like things like that, like which is crazy that people don't listen to Michael Jackson anymore because we grew up listening. You played Michael Jackson a lot, Kid Rock.
Yeah. The
amount of people that have no idea who Kid Rock is crazy to me. Because you had the like clean CD of Kid Rock, and all it was there was no swearing, but he was still saying like spread her legs open and eat her garden and shit like that. Like he was still saying that, and that's the kind of stuff he was saying. Okay. So and me and my brother, me and my brother are 8 and 12, sitting in the car singing "Clean Kid Rock."
Yeah, Clean Kid Rock. So it's funny. Clean. One of the things I've done this year, you know, I try to mix up my teaching and the things I do every year because I get bored. But one of the things I've been doing this year is I have like my artist of the day. So I'll find one musician and I just play
all their stuff.
I got Spotify. Yeah, I got Spotify Premium, by the way.
Oh, you did?
I finally broke down and got it. Yeah. So, and I'll play there.
Because you might be able to get the student plan because you're a teacher. Try it.
Okay.
$6 a month for Hulu and Spotify.
Okay. So this is...
Guess what? I'm telling you that, and I'm not getting paid for it.
I play one...
Spotify sponsor us, please.
Artist all day long. Yeah. Spotify. So, yep. One artist all day long. So, like, I was Shinedown this morning.
And was it really?
Which was, yes.
Oh, coincidence. Episode 4 was all about me being psychic. Coincidence? I think not.
Shinedown all day. Well, all morning. And then, like, I think I shut it off. Yeah. And then, like, whatever I decide, and I'll do like stuff I like, and then I'll do stuff I know the kids like that I can play. A lot of the kids' music I can't play, but but I'll play like, you know, just whatever. And then I had to look up the clean versions too, but I did Guns N' Roses, but I only found the clean ones all day. And then I'll do like my favorite Bastille, you know. So I'll do a Bastille day. Bastille all day.
So I think for today, my song, but I'm going to say artist, because I think that's kind of the path that we've been going down, because it's really hard for us to pick just one song. You know, so I think I'm going to say, because of that last comment about Gen Zers only knowing music from TikTok, I am going to say that my artist is Rusted Root. Because when you told me one time, you told me like, you need to listen to Rusted Root, you would really like them. And I started listening, rabbit hole. The way I fell down a rabbit hole, the song Food and Creative Love, you used to sing that song to me and I didn't get it, and I get it now.
Yep.
You know what song I'm talking about? All I want is food and creative love.
Yes, I do know exactly.
That song?
Yeah.
Oh, the one that's called Beautiful People. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But their stuff is very experimental for their time.
Fun. Oh my god.
And it's very fun. They play with a lot of culturally influenced instruments to create like, it's kind of poppy for when it was made.
So awesome.
But it's I don't even know, it's like its own genre really, because of how many different instruments, and they really do, they pull from a lot of different cultures. The group of people who creates the music, they all come from their own very specific cultural culturally influenced backgrounds that makes it like this whole thing, and they pull all different kinds of stuff. You can listen to it, and it's really amazing. My favorite album is the album that has "Send Me on My Way," which is in Ice Age.
That was their most
Matilda.
Popular album, I think.
Yeah, which is the one song that everyone knows, and they like don't really make music anymore. It's kind of sad, or they don't perform. Like the other day,
I looked him up a while ago. I think this summer, I went on a Rusted Root kick all day.
Yeah,
and I thought maybe they had some
new stuff,
because I was trying to find their newer stuff, but nothing really current.
No, and
I haven't looked at their history either.
Yeah, their discography. Yeah, but yeah, so that's gonna be my artist is Rusted Root.
Okay, so I will pick an artist then as well today. Okay. And mine is also one that I played all day long for my students, and it's the Cranberries.
Yeah.
It's from the 90s.
I love see, people don't know who that is though. I know who that is because of you guys. Yeah. Cranberries are great. Well, everybody knows, everybody's gonna know their song Zombie.
Right. So everyone knows Zombie. And there's some acoustic versions of Zombie out there that are amazing, but yeah. So yeah, everyone knows Zombie, and that's when I played it at school. The kids did know that, but right. That her, it's a really great band, and they were just really incredible. So
the Cranberries and Rusted Root.
The Cranberries. Yep.
Sounds good.
And the Cranberries, when their lead singer passed away, they were recording another comeback of, like, they were recording new music. And when I got on my Cranberries kick, I read this whole back. I read on Spotify. I was reading their history, so I was trying to remember when she died, and I was trying to think about and I was sad. I remember being sad when she died, and then I was just thinking about kind of the band and stuff, and just reading about them. And they had recorded a bunch of I haven't listened to it exactly, but they took some of the recordings they were making right when she had passed away, and they would put them into an album. So it's kind of cool.
That is really.
And they brought in some
and live. Now there's AI ways that you can recreate a person's voice.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And that would be really cool.
They took a live performance from a venue in where I live, in the state where I live, and it downstate, and where I love to see concerts, and they put someone from there.
That's really cool.
So it was good.
That's really cool. All right, well,
to honor our 90s.
Yeah. I am your daughter.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see everybody next week.
Okay. I don't know what we're doing next week.
Me neither. We'll find out. Bye.